Bob Chapman, what do you think of that?
It's something that you should expect. When you're effective, this is what they do. And, you know, this has been going on all the years that I've known you, and then some. And it's not going to go away, and they're going to get more aggressive as we go along. And they're going to do everything possible to keep the American people from knowing the truth about anything. And never mind the American people. Your broadcasts, they go all over the world. You're waking up people everywhere. And it's wonderful.
Yeah, they're probably going to try to kill me soon, but whatever.
Well, now you know I did what I did, and we had this conversation over 10 years ago.
Yeah, you've left the country, and you've got to constantly move.
Well, I do so that they can't keep track of me, but
yeah.
It's worked out good. And
why'd you decide to move? I mean, when they tried to plant hand grenades on you, or?
Oh, that was back in 75. I go back a long way with these people. I mean, they started really leaning on me in 1967, and they've never stopped. Because I'm supposed to be one of them, and they don't like it when I'm not one of them, seeing that they train me. And that's the worst possible thing that can happen to them.
Well, that's why MIAC and Homeland Security say their number one enemy is veterans.
That's right. Because we know how it's played, and that's why I've done that veteran show, or the Marine Disquisition, for over 5 years. It's number one in Blog Talk and has been for years, because I want these guys to know what's going on. We need the military to defend the American people and our way of life, not these monsters that have in Washington and the transnational conglomerates and Wall Street and banking. I mean, between that group and the pharmaceutical companies and insurance, they come up with almost all the money to buy off the politicians. They really virtually control the country. And the gentleman who was before us, this was, of course, a double feature, Chapman to Chapman. And anyway, he came right out and said that, and he's got, you know, in-house experience on that.
And he's one of the biggest business. He's one of the biggest business member groups in the country, and he said we've got a criminal crook government.
Well, we've been saying the same thing for a long time.
But you're noticing more and more Americans would say this over beers a decade ago. Now prominent people are just telling it like it is, and they can't get us all, Bob.
No, they can't. In fact, they probably only can get maybe 20 million out of 300 million. I mean, when they go to move against us, it's going to be the sorriest thing they ever did. Because they're not going to get any support. If the Pentagon thinks that they're going to order line officers around and non-coms and gunnies, they're crazy. We have them in our camp, not in theirs. They're good, decent, hardworking men and women who put their lives on the line every single day for this country. And we're going to back them 100%. And if something happens that's nasty, I'll be the first one to head over the border and join them, believe me, as old as I am.
Well, we need to keep you in the rear with the gear, Bob.
Somebody's got to do the public relations.
Yeah. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, at least we didn't lay down and lick boots and go down without a fight, whatever happens. That's
right. You can't give up. You've got to keep going and going and going. You can never, ever accept defeat. And I've run my whole life that way, and you have too. And we want everybody else to emulate that quality. It's extraordinarily important. Not so much for you, but how about your wife and your children and your grandchildren, all your friends? Somebody's got to be there to stand in there and say, I'm not going to take it anymore, and we're going to change this. And it will happen, and these people have gone too far. They had a good deal going, and now they're going to get crushed.
Well, history shows you're right, but it's going to be one hell of a fight on the way there. Let's come back, get into the economy and all the other incredible news. I was talking to Rob out there during the break, and he just said, yeah, they're pulling out all the stops. They don't even care if we know anymore. We've got a new report out on Ventura's TV show tonight Shocker, feminizing uranium, fluoride, and lithium in water to be exposed on Ventura TV show. And Aaron did a great job hammering this article out real quick. I think I'm going to have him add at the bottom some of the Texas news where the government hid that there was uranium in the water. The news doesn't tell you. They're adding it. And by the way, that's confirmed. I mean, it's crazy it's gone this far. That they're just killing us slowly out in the open, Bob Chapman.
And you know, it's interesting that you say that, because probably about a year and a half ago, they did the same thing with their manipulation of the markets, particularly gold and silver. For years and years, starting in 1988, they tried to cover up what they were doing. And for a long time, up until, probably 1998, I was the only one who wrote about it. Everybody thought I was crazy as usual, and of course they were all wrong. But they're right out in the open with their manipulation of the market. They just don't care anymore. And of course, we had employment figures come in today, and the government knew yesterday what they were going to be. And so what did they do? Gold runs up $10, they whack it back down again. Silver was up 60 cents, they whack it back down again. So it wouldn't rally as much today when the cruddy news came out on unemployment. So what happened? Gold's up $20 today, which is double what it was up yesterday, and silver's up about 60 cents. And so what they do can't last long. But they don't care about that. They're a bunch of stopgappers. They run around like wild Indians trying to put their finger in the dike everywhere. And it's not going to work. It's like the home of the Mad Hatter or something. But they are in the open.
No, I mean, it's in the Wall Street Journal, Wired Magazine. They just come out and say, everything you do is listen to and watch. In real time, we're tracking every purchase you make with any digital. And it's trying to intimidate us. Now, we knew this a decade ago or more with the Telecommunications Act that codified it, but we saw the infrastructure being paid for. Now they just come out and go, yeah, we commit felonies just every millisecond. Yeah, we're just total crooks. Yeah, there's uranium in your water. I mean, and now the WikiLeaks thing, what do you think of that?
It looks like a disinformation operation to me, because most of the stuff, for anybody that's paying attention, they knew it. The only thing I saw that I didn't know was Hillary's instructions to professional personnel in the State Department to spy on others. I would have thought I would have gotten that, because you're going to laugh when you hear this, but the State Department not only gets, and I don't know where they get it from, but I've talked to the person who gets my publication, and they send it to every consulate and every embassy in the world, and then it goes out all over Washington.
Well, Bob, you know that the State Department, the Department of Agriculture, all these departments, they've always been riddled with spies. I mean, all major governments do that. But, I mean, I think the fact that Hillary just ordered everybody to spy, I mean, that's amazing.
It certainly is, but it shows you what she's an integral part of what's going on. But that was the only surprise I saw, and I'm sure in January, I guess, they're going to come out and say a bank or two is on the verge of bankruptcy. Well, heck, anybody that's involved in this thing, like you and I and all our listeners, they know that the banks are broke. So what's the big deal? So I don't see anything world-ending in that.
We're going to go to break in a minute and come back in the long segment. I want to get started now, though. I've been really researching Max Kaiser's push, along with Zero Hedge and others, who I respect, to try to crash J.P. Morgan by buying silver. But I read the Gold Antitrust Committee's press release a few days ago about it, and they said, look, we commend Max, and I can pull it up and read the quotes, but people can go look at it. This will bring out manipulation into the open, and it may hurt a lot of the big banks that are shorting, and it will drive the price up. But J.P. Morgan's only $3 billion, in for this, and they'll find ways of covering it. What's your view of Max Kaiser's plan?
Absolutely terrific. psychological warfare. It's not the fact they're going to get stuffed financially, $3 billion or whatever it is. And the guy shouldn't play that down. You know, Max has stuck his neck out, like very few people have, over a number of years, and said, let's do this. And I think it's a great idea. Maybe it's only $5 billion, whatever it is. We're giving them nightmares.
All right, stay there. Let's come back and talk about that on the other side. Absolutely. It reveals the fraud. We'll get into the Chinese, what they're doing with gold, and a lot more. Stay with us.
Casting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
I rarely get so mad that I talk over the liner. I'm so enraged by what I just confirmed over the break from Bloomberg Business Week that I can hardly talk. If anybody ever wanted to know that Boehner, and I don't know why he's ashamed of his real name, Boehner. I don't know. I mean, that's how it's pronounced. It's German. It's Boehner. I don't know why Boehner is getting away with what he does, but he's out there lying about the unemployment. He's a globalist. He's a Newt Gingrich protege, and nobody should be surprised by the fact that he gets to go around the TSA naked body scanners. Well, here's Bloomberg Business Week. It says Boehner's doing everything he can, told Bloomberg, to prevent Ron Paul from becoming chairman of the House Banking Committee. And it's seniority. Ron Paul is supposed to be the chairman. Hey, how about we cause a move to get Ron Paul to be the new Speaker of the House instead of Boehner, a.k.a. Boehner? I mean, this is what needs to be done. So this is new breaking news on this front. We'll get a link to that up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We'll also get that video up where the 70-something-year-old guy who lives on Family Farm is being kicked off by the city that's annexed it, saying he's not allowed to basically have a farm in the city. They're getting rid of grandfathering rules all over the country. I mean, this government's just completely criminal. We're going to get that up. I'm going to go into the economy with Bob Chapman here in a moment. Resistance is victory. Never giving in, never giving up. Feminizing uranium. I think folks need to read this article and know about the show coming up tonight, that they're putting feminizing uranium, and it's also very poisonous and toxic, in your water out of the phosphate mines. Feminizing uranium. Those are the two search terms. Ventura Show FEMA is number one. Number two, feminizing uranium. It's up to you. It's your mission if you choose to accept it. Bob Chapman, what do you think of that idea?
I think it's terrific, and I think you should evolve for the next one by going after Boehner and his pressure that he's under from the bankers and Wall Street.